In our exclusive interview with managing partner of Karam and Missick Attorneys at Law, George Missick, a number of topics were discussed. In last night's newscast, News 4 aired Missick's views on the TCI court system. Well, Missick also spoke about current laws in the TCI and the need for them to be updated.
We're using really rules and laws from Jamaica back in the 19th century, 1800s, laws. And so it's now 2010, so common sense dictates that we've sort of grown. The law is an evolving thing. So a law that was good 200 years ago will not necessarily be good law today, and the law has to be able to adapt to changes in what's going on around.
Missick expounded on our divorce laws. The current law states that a couple must be married for 3 years before being eligible to file for a divorce. Missick says that this poses a problem.
For instance, you have to be married, have to have been married at least 3 years before you can file a petition in the absence of special circumstances. So you have to wait. So for instance, if your divorce breaks down after a year or 6 months, these days marriages break down after a couple of weeks, but yet the law is here telling you you're stuck pretty much with this person, or in this, you don't have to live with them obviously, but you're stuck in being divorced, being able to remarry and move on with your life until after 3 years. You have to wait it out. That's no good.
He further stated that there are limited grounds for divorce here in the TCI. They are adultery, cruelty, or 3-year separation, but in his opinion, there are many more that ought to be considered. He also touched on the topic of child support laws, saying that they are woefully out of touch with reality.
The outdated aspect of this is the law does not recognize that father enough to say that, yes, although you have to pay child support, the law doesn't recognize him to give him actual visitation rights or custody rights in respect of that child. So you have this problem here in the Turks and Caicos, whereby mothers have taken a lot of fathers to courts for monies, and for whatever reason, difficulties or disagreements between the parties, the mother doesn't allow the father to see the child. She's legally entitled to do that. A lot of people do that. But what it does is creates frustration, anxiety, and sometimes anger and violence on the part of the father.
Well, one rule has changed, and that is the amount of jail time a person will receive if found with an illegal firearm. Missick disagrees, as this decision seems to only be a reaction to the rise in crime here. He says that though the situation is one that demands a quick response and reaction, in his opinion, it also calls for careful reasoning and decision-making. He told News 4 that increasing penalties for gun possession will not solve the immediate problem. Maybe more police involvement is exactly what this country needs.
Here in Turks and Caicos, the main problems as a litigator that I see, and I practice in the criminal courts, the main problems I see is the policing of the crimes and the actual evidence that comes before the courts in terms of being able to get a conviction for the prosecutors to get a conviction. If we don't have enough police presence, if we don't have enough officers, if we don't have the training, the adequate training, capabilities to present a case properly before the courts, it doesn't matter if we're going to have mandatory sentences for guns, because no one's ever going to be convicted. We need to get convictions first off.
Missick says that he seeks changes to the judicial system and laws of the TCI to protect the rights and well-being of citizens. This, according to him, can result in a peaceful, safer country. For WIV4 News, I'm Amanda Miller.